Hello, Gobshites. Welcome back to Honest to Gob. It has been a very, very long 3 years since we last recorded an episode, and I am delighted that we are back in the studio today. My name is Gemma Ray. I'm going to be joined by the amazing Claire Morton as she hands over the baton and we talk about what we've been getting up to over the last 3 years, where the heck we've been. We're going to be discussing how we were on a Netflix documentary and did absolutely bugger all about it. And we're going to be talking broken legs, broken jobs, almost broken relationships, and broken balls as well. This is Honest to Gob. Thank you for listening. It's like putting on an old pair of slippers. Hi, Claire. So we've worked out it was the 4th of December 2021 when we last recorded a podcast, and it was March 2022 when the final episode of that recording slot went out, which means it's just over 3 years since this podcast has been out there, which... First of all, how has 3 years passed?
I know.
It's gone so quickly. And in that time, our podcast was featured on a Netflix documentary, and we did absolutely fuck all about that. We didn't market it. We didn't jump on the bandwagon with it. We just went, oh, that's nice. Have you actually seen it? Have you seen the Netflix documentary?
Yeah,
I haven't.
Yeah,
I've not
and
even
you're
watched
on it. You're on it, narrating about it.
And
because I don't even think you told me about it, because we've just literally, our worlds have just been like so busy. And then a few people messaged me and said, oh my God, are you on Netflix? And I was like, no. And then they sent me a screenshot and I went, oh, that's me and Gemma.
But you weren't just on Netflix. It was like in the top 10, you know, when you log into Netflix and it's like 1 to 10 and you scroll and then it starts playing us on the podcast. So to explain, episode, I think, is it episode 17, 18?
I think so.
You'd have to have a look back. Eve Gibney was our guest who had written a book about her experience of being married to a man who went and married someone else while he was still married to her. So he is a bigamist, and it was her journey. Her story was picked up for, first of all, the documentary with Paramount. So it was on Paramount TV, first of all.
Yeah.
And then Netflix picked it up, and it did really well at the time it was on Netflix, and it was in that, top 10. And we were there on the screen, and we did nothing.
We just interviewed it, but I think that was our most listened and most watched podcast because it was an unbelievable story, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And what she did, she was so vulnerable on that podcast, and so like she just allowed us to question, and quite a lot of people like resonated with some of the stuff that she was saying, and there were so many twists and turns in it that I remember sitting there and I had sweaty bum cheeks. I was like, no way this has happened. This is like, needs to be a film. And obviously it's being made into the programme on Netflix. So we did sod all about that. And then obviously we've caught up with each other on WhatsApp voice messages, and we've had a couple of lunches together since in that 3 years
stupid walks for
ago.
our stupid mental health.
Stupid walks for stupid mental health.
That's about it.
And then, so it's interesting as to why this has come about again, because for me, obviously never broadcast anything before. And I always remember the first few episodes in Liverpool podcast studios in Jacob's living room many years ago. And now he's got these gorgeous studios. I was so nervous, and you really helped me through that phase because of your presenter and broadcast experience. And that then led me on to do the other podcast with Jules. But when you told me that you wanted to start this off again, and I was like, oh my God, but obviously on your own. And
we should point out that's not because we've fallen out.
Oh my God, no. And it was just, so let's go back then to December 2021 when we recorded our last episodes. And obviously the last one was actually aired in Feb 2022 or March 2022. But in that 3 months, quite a bit happened, didn't it, to just take us on different trajectories of life and business.
We were trying to get another recording date in for the February half term, and we were looking at availability. And then, unfortunately, on the 28th of January, my husband's 40th birthday, 2022, my son, he would have been 11 at the time, broke his leg at school. He didn't just break his leg, it was a catastrophic injury that resulted in 18 months of recovery and resulted in me losing my job because of his recovery, and the way that impacted my work and what I was able to do. And it was a really, really hard and difficult time. And a freak accident. So my son at the time was a motocross enthusiast, and everybody presumed he'd done it on his motorbike, and he hadn't. He'd done it at school in a random, they were doing some football drills, and basically him and his friend were doing a figure of 8, and there was a flag in the middle, and they had to run and get the flag. And his friend went the wrong way, ran at force with Blake. This is a massive accident, by the way, but his friend's head went through both of the bones in Blake's leg. So completely breaking both of them. And he had surgery, had metal rods inserted. 3 days later, he had to lie in Alder Hay in absolute agony for 3 days because he unfortunately did it on a Friday afternoon and there was nobody to do it on a weekend. He was in a wheelchair. He had a lot of time off school. It was rough for anyone who's been through, a leg break is pretty hardcore.
Yeah. And did he break the femur? Is it
both tib and not the femur? No, so the tib and the fib. So
the really big bones as well.
Yeah, which is why he had to have this metal rod thread through basically the remnants of what was broken on the bone. He actually broke it as well up the top too, but that healed really, really quickly. But it took a long time. We were going back to the hospital and seeing the bone growth every time. And like I said, he was in a wheelchair for about 4 months, I think it was. We had to bring his bed downstairs. So we had to put a bedroom in the front room.
Yeah.
We had to carry him to the toilet. We both took it in turns overnight. Every few hours, he was on morphine when he came home because he was in that much agony. It was to see my little boy go through that was utterly heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Utterly heartbreaking. And so, we couldn't get another podcast date in to record. My job became untenable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'll say on that.
There was a lot going on at the time in terms of family life, business life, and, just being a mum and your kids at age 11 when they really need you, when they're in pain. The choice that you're going to make as your child, isn't it?
But I didn't a few times, and I think that was a bit of a wake-up call. So when he first did it, I took a week off work, came back, and somebody we'd hired, much junior to me with zero experience, became my boss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that was really hard. That was very, very difficult. And I'd gone from working in this business where I was all in, working 80 hours a week and thought I was part and parcel of it. I'd actually set up this business with 2 other people. And then all of a sudden I'm having to look after my child and work at the same time. So I'm getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning to work, trying to work around him, and I'm creating Instagram reels. That's my job, right? And I'm having to have all of these meetings about content. And my kid downstairs is like, Mom, I really need the toilet, Mom. I'm like, 2 minutes. I'll be there in a minute. Because I'm under so much pressure and I'm trying to do my job. And there were 2 occasions, not just one, but 2 occasions where just a minute, I'm on a Zoom, just a minute, he wet himself in his bed because he could not get up to go to the toilet. And I think by the second time, that was the point where I was like, oh, this is just not good. This has got to stop. This is not great at all.
I remember you saying that to me and that you felt guilty about it, and it was really a wake-up call.
Soul destroying.
Yeah.
Well, I think things had started to go wrong anyway in the job. I feel like I was managed out, and that's all I'll say on that because I don't need to say anything else. It was the right reason. It was the right decision to go. I should have gone a lot sooner than I did. I dragged it out till the end of June.
What was the reason why you dragged it out?
Because I'd started a project that I knew would be very successful and I didn't want to leave my team in the lurch. So again, I was choosing work over my kid every time. And I think there was a lot of fear. I had nothing to go to at all. And to be fair, they did try and say, let's work it out, let's stay. But by then the damage had been done and I didn't want to. And I think because the company was a weight loss company, every day, from the moment I opened my eyes to the moment I went to bed, my whole life was about weight loss, fat loss, diets, food, how I looked, how, checking before and after pictures and how they looked and writing other people's stories. And when I was in it, I loved it. And I do want to say that I loved it. And I was very proud of the work that we did. But then I drove home one night, totally just depleted, completely burnt out, completely depleted. I'm not sleeping. My son's still going through what he's going through. And I was driving home and I thought, do you know what? If I just crash my car into that bridge, and I didn't want to die, if I just crash my car into that bridge, hopefully I'll go into a coma and I'll lose weight in a coma.
Yeah.
And that was the point. The thought hit my head. I burst into tears. I rang my husband and I was like, I need to go. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'd originally planned to take a month off before looking for anything else. But then the universe had other plans and I went self-employed and picked up a lot of clients in a really short space of time, which was amazing for my confidence because I think I'd had it battered quite a lot. And things were going great. And both yourself and I come from that, the online space where the elusive Holy Grail is a 5-figure month and it was happening and it was like, wow, this is amazing. This is incredible. And then the universe took a giant dump on my head again.
A big,
put me in
massive
a completely different scenario. Which we'll talk about shortly. But what about you in that time? So that's me in that time. What about you in that time? Like you said, you created another business and branched out. You've become like, you are my favorite normal woo-woo person. You are the most spiritual, magical, batshit crazy, but also corporate at the same time, and mega, mega expert in leadership and still normal. You'll still say fucking bugger, and I love that, as well as namaste. Namaste, you bitches, and all that.
Namaste, motherfucker. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
So I remember when all that happened, and I remember really feeling for you, and you were saying how stressed you were, but Gemma, she just carries on.
Dickhead.
She just plows through, getting stuff done. And I think, the universe sent you those messages for you to go, right, you need to stop and let's just take you to a different life. Completely different life. So I remember me and you had a conversation and we actually went for something to eat, didn't we? Had I just had my breast implants out?
Yes, you've had that. Yeah, that's what's happened too. Yeah, of course.
So I remember we met in town and we went to Gino's.
Yep.
And we sat there and we were like, right, what can we do with the podcast? What can we do together? And I just had my breast implants out. So that must have been in the June. I think that was it was June 2022. So I think after all that, we left it in the February and then we met in the June and we were like, right, okay. And then you suggested, you know what, should we just leave it? Should we just stop putting pressure on ourselves and just leave it for a little bit? And I always remember you really, really kind of saying, you focus on your business and your life and I'll focus on mine and let's just see where we go. And in that time, I'd met Jules. And
Jules is your business partner.
Jules Kelly's my business partner and also a really great friend. She's batshit crazy like us too as well. And so we went on that road to create our business Space and Freedom, because I've got the Space method, she's got the Freedom method, and it was like clients want Space and Freedom, so let's go Space and Freedom. So that was great. Obviously a lot of hard work, and then the kids becoming teenagers. So I had a bit of a difficult time with Daniela in the school that she was in. And again, a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with at the time, because she's the same age as Blake, isn't she? So she was like 11, 12 and she'd just gone into secondary school. She did not fit in whatsoever with the mainstream Liverpool girl culture, because she's geeky and she's different. In a lovely way. And I think most people are different, but we just put masks on and try and stay in groups so that we feel safe. And it's all about, we need freedom of expression and be ourselves. And I can definitely see that coming out more. So she moved schools, which was great, but was tough at the time. So I had that to deal with. Josh just being Josh, teenager, quite sensible to be fair in comparison to what I was. Nightmare. I was doing LSD at 14 and drinking special brew on the streets of Liverpool and Huyton. Yeah, it was like a nightmare for me mum. But yeah, so that clinical trials, which we can talk about later, which was helping people who've suffered with chronic pain and fibromyalgia, helping them from disabled to enabled, 12 weeks. We helped them change their lives. That all stems from the work that Jules did with herself having fibro. So yeah, working and going to India last year, learning how to do Kundalini yoga to add that to the things that I deliver. So very much more woo now, even more so. But I still keep it real because I know some people are not ready for that yet. So when I put my turban on or my head covering on,
I didn't realise you actually genuinely, legitimately have a turban.
Yeah.
What colour is it?
Cream.
Do you put your hair in it?
Don't suit white, too off.
Do you put your hair in it? Or do
you can do it either or. It's just literally a scarf and you just wrap it round. I'm crap, I need turban lessons.
So it's not right. So a turban is a scarf.
You don't just like sit it.
You don't just put it on.
I want someone to make one like that so it looks like you've just wrapped it up, like a really nice Sikh turban.
Yeah.
But mine looks quite scruffy. As long as you've got your head covered, because it's all about containing the energy within the body. You don't have to wear one, but part of the practice and the lineage in which I've trained in, it's about wearing a head covering or a turban. But some days I'll wear one, and some days I'll wear a cap. Some days I'll wear my turban. Some days I look like Hilda Ogden.
From Corrie.
Yeah.
Many
people
decades away.
People probably don't even know who she is, yeah.
She wore a headscarf.
She did when she was doing a clean, and she was the cleaner in the Rover's Return, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot's gone on in life and business.
India, let's just go back to India though for a second. I remember when you told me you were going to India. I've got a question. Had you been on one of your house cleaning strikes with your family and just went, fuck it, I'm leaving you and going away for a month?
Well, I did the house cleaning strike last June, didn't I? In the June. And I think I booked India not long after.
So this is you going, fuck you, I'm sick of doing all of this on my own. I know every time someone leaves an empty toilet roll cardboard carton on the side in my house, it makes me think of you, because I know that if you and Mark ever get divorced, that is going to be the reason that the cardboard toilet roll centre pieces have just been left in the bathroom and nobody's put them in the bin.
They just represent one little aspect of the jobs that we do that are invisible, which we've talked about before, haven't we? The invisible jobs that we do. No one realises until you stop doing them that how much you actually do. And Mark, to be fair, is very good. He's got his own jobs. I've got mine. Obviously, as a woman, I see things and I'll do them straight away and I'll pick stuff up. But now I have got those boundaries where the kids have got the main bathroom. We've got our own ensuite. So I don't even go in that main bathroom anymore. I actually went in.
Bug roll.
I actually went in at the weekend and there was three cardboard boxes. And I went, you know what? I'm leaving it. I just left it. Shut the door. Left it.
You didn't have like internal rage and want to kill everybody.
No, because I think
that's growth. Well done, babe.
Isn't it? I think it's the Kundalini. So it's like, you know what? Let them.
Namaste, bitches.
Yeah, just let them. I don't even want to look in the toilet basin. I didn't even go in to look to see how dirty it was. I'd say it's their bathroom. I'm not doing it. It's the same with the bedrooms. I shut the door on the bedrooms. Josh actually cleaned his bedroom the other day because I saw him take the polish up. So he's 16 now. Wow. He obviously doesn't want to fester in his own crap, does he? So at least he's doing something. Danielle is another. She literally is. She doesn't do nothing in a room, but I just leave it. And since going, so that was June. I went to my mum's for a week, left them. Then they begged me to come back.
Hang on a minute. What I didn't realise that bit.
Did you not know?
No.
So it was all. What happened? You know when you stress. I was overwhelmed with work. We were doing a lot, and again, got to practice what you teach, haven't you? And sometimes you don't. You end up getting lost in that overwhelm, and you do, and you're saying yes to everything. It's obligations, it's all the shoulds. And I was doing so much with work, and we were busy. And then coming home, I'd already shown the kids how to use the washing machine, how to put things away, how to use the dishwasher, all that. And they just stopped doing it. The loo rolls were like packing up. So I was like, that's it. I shouted at Josh. I asked him to do something and he shouted back at me. And so I shouted back. And as I did it, in that moment, I went, I don't want to be shouting at my son about tidying up. So he said something back to me. I can't remember what it was. And I went out and I slammed the door. The doors shook. I don't get angry. And when I get angry, they get scared. It's like, oh my God, she's like lost the plot. She's gone crazy. So I walked out, got in the car and drove to my mum's. And just, my mum went, what's the matter? I went, can I move in? So I moved into my mum's for a week. Literally, my mum went, I don't blame you. Come in, come and live with us for a week. So I got spoiled and looked after by my mum. My mum was like my counsellor for the week. Mark agreed. He said to me, go. He said, I agree with you.
Right. So this was about the kids. It wasn't about Mark. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Mark
he
said,
gave
I agree. I agree with you because Mark was busy. So because Mark was busy, I'm looking after him, making lunch for him, not making lunch for myself. And then I'm doing stuff, but I'm going, I need to make sure Mark's okay because I know he's online all the time. He's on calls all day. Then the washing's piling up. Then the dogs need walking. And I'm saying to Josh, walk the dogs. And he's like, no. And I'm like, no, they're your dogs, please just do it. And I think that's what caused it. So I just went to my mum's and Mark said, stay there. He said, because I think it'll be good for them to realise. So it did. And then Josh asked me 4 days later, when are you coming home? Because I can't find my socks. And he was serious.
I miss you. I love you. Please come home, Mum.
Oh, come on, Mum. When are you coming home? I can't. And he was joking, but he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Because he's got like a really good sense of humour. I went, I'm not coming home until we sit down, we have a family meeting, and then we put some boundaries in place. Because I felt like they just laugh at me when I say, let's sit down and talk about it. But I said, we need to talk like a family. And there was one thing that I gave them. It was a Brené Brown quote, and I always remember, and I give this to parents all the time. You can be a kid-centered family, you can be a parent-centered family, or a family-centered family. So I give them that concept. I said, kid-parent families, it's all about the kids. It's all about running them to different football clubs, to dance classes, where the parents don't get any time to do anything, but it's all about the kids. Or you can have a parent-centered family where it's all about the parents, and the parents are saying no to the kids. Or you can have a family-centered family where it's, I can take you, let's look at taking you to 2 football sessions a week and 2 dance classes a week, because I also have things that I want to do as well, so that there's compromise across the whole family. So I explained that concept to them, and you could see Josh sitting like that with a cheesy grin on. And so I said, what is it? And he was like, actually, Mum, he said, I thought you were going to shout at us or kick off on us or give us feedback. He said, but what you've just said, he went, it makes sense. He said, so I said, all I want you to hear from you is, what does the family look like to you? And how can I help you as your mom? And how can your dad help you? But how can you help the family as well? So we went round and we did that. And then we made friends. And then I moved back in. And then a few days later, I said to Mark, I'm going to India. And he went, okay.
For how long?
A month. So I booked India. I'd been following my teacher, Gurumukh, on Instagram for about a year, and I'd been practicing Kundalini myself for like just over 12 months at the time. And because I was practicing it, and because, again, human design, and really going into the energy of my soul and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm saying no to that now because it doesn't bring me joy. So changing the energy and transmuting that energy. So I was starting to like put boundaries in that people didn't like and people were pushing. But I was like, not doing stuff anymore. That doesn't light me up, because if I'm not lit up, I can't serve. I'm drained. If I'm full of joy, I'll completely always serve everyone and love everyone. So I had those conversations with Mark, and he went, to totally get what you're saying. You do what you need to do, because when you're good, we're all good. Okay. So yeah, booked that, went for a month in October, and it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
The yoga or the fact you got typhoid? Let's talk
It was
about
the whole
that.
experience. It was like, I knew it was going to be hard. I'd spoke to my yoga teacher here, Mohan, who is from India. I went to see him. He told me about the culture. I'd spoke to you because you've been as well. Spoke to loads
and
of
what
people.
do I say though?
Yeah, go on.
So I have been to India. I went as part of my honeymoon, and I said India stands for I'll never do it again because it was horrendous. But I think I'd said this to you, hadn't I? I went with Western eyes. I did not understand anything about India. I knew nothing about India.
Wow,
I was
Gemma.
totally ill-informed. But don't forget, this is like nearly 17, 18 years
Yeah.
ago. So it was, you go and log into an internet cafe to find anything out. I took a Lonely Planet guidebook for every country that we went to, and I looked in the Lonely Planet of where we wanted to go. And it was only after we'd left India and I went to Australia, someone recommended a book called Shantaram, which has actually since been made into a series, a drama series.
Yeah.
And the book enabled me to understand the way in which India works as a society, as a culture, the caste system, the politics, the spirituality, the beliefs, like how things work. And so I was kind of sad that I hadn't read that book before going to India. I was a completely different person back then. And I went there with my Western eyes of, oh my God, this is disgusting. Oh my God, there's a lady pooing in the street. Oh my God, I'm going to die from food poisoning, which, to be fair, we nearly did. We ended up with Jardian. We got quarantined by environmental health when we came home. Yes, because we were very poorly from our time in India.
And it is Delhi belly, isn't it? It's really,
awful.
it is bad.
But I wish I'd have known what I know now.
Mm-hmm.
A part of me would like to go back to certain places. There was a place called Pushkar, which was beautiful. And we went riding on camels there. And it was the spiritual side of it was
so many
beautiful.
beautiful parts to it.
Beautiful,
but so
beautiful.
many. Yeah, it's very poor. So very rich, but so very poor. And I thank God I'd spoke to you and I'd spoke to quite a few people around it being chaotic. It's like chaotic, but it's like in a flow. So like I got off the plane at Delhi and I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to get the 5-hour taxi ride from Delhi to Rishikesh so I can see India on my way. I did.
You didn't?
Yeah. 5 hours. It was 6 hours.
Funny.
6 hours. After the 9-hour flight from Heathrow, and I met a girl who was in the yoga teacher training group from Mexico. So we both landed at the same time. I've obviously WhatsApped her. So me and her shared a cab on the way, and the whole way it was beep, 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 beep. And they're not beeping out of anger. It's just their way of warning other people that they're coming up. It's like...
Because on a 3-lane road, you're going to have 7 rows of cars. So they have to beep.
And cows.
And elephants.
Cows on the motorways. Yeah. And I'm waiting to get out of Delhi going, it'll be quieter in a minute. It'll be cleaner. And it was just not the whole way there. And then I got to Rishikesh in my hotel and I went, oh, I don't like it. And I was like, no, stop it now. Stay curious. And we get into the hotel and I'd booked a premium hotel, premium room. I think it was like £30 a night, dead cheap. And that wasn't like our standard premium. It was all right. And the people were lovely. But you walked in, out of the reception, you walked onto a road, there was cows, dogs, monkeys, cow poo, people riding past you on mopeds on like a tiny little street. So it was like, right, okay. And then you could hear chanting going on in the background. And then obviously of a morning, really early on in the morning, it was like my nervous system. And I know about nervous systems because of the stuff that we teach, I was like, you're in fight or flight, your nervous system. So I was doing some tapping and some affirmations, some breathing, got myself to sleep on the first night. And then I woke up and I was still on edge, felt dead sick, met some lovely people, more people on the yoga teacher training. I thought, let's go out and embrace it. People were saying to me, watch your money, put your money underneath your clothes because you don't know who's going to take your money. So you're then not like trusting anyone. And then I had people coming up to me saying, can they have a selfie? Because I was white in India and having white skin. I mean, you must have been like with red hair and white skin.
We had a brilliant guide when we were in, we went to the Taj Mahal and went all around there. And we had this amazing guy called Rishi. And he was explaining to us about like why. So the whole kind of culture of I am going to enter into an arranged marriage. I want to look more not desirable in terms of in a lustful sense, but in a I want to be desirable to that family for my connections and my intelligence. So lots of selfies with us. He was explaining they do that because it shows, look at me hanging around with. It was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
See us like royalty, don't they? It's very, and like touching the skin and going, oh, like young kids coming. And at first I was going, and then Claudia, who I was with from Mexico, she'd been before. She went, that's a compliment, Claire. She said, honestly, that's just what they do. She said, just get used to it. So in the end, I was like, hi. After a few weeks there, I was like, yeah, it's selfie, yeah.
Do you feel like the paparazzi?
Oh yeah, but the people, oh my God, they were so lovely. And literally they had nothing. And they were so grateful. One day we met some kids and they were selling us like little candles so that we could light them and put them on the River Ganges to say a little prayer and you'd allow it to float down. And we bought 120p, like 200 rupees or whatever it was. And then they all came over and I was like, oh, buying them all. And I was like, I've got too many candles, it doesn't matter. So we went and bought, instead of giving them money, we went and bought fruit for them, like bananas. Come over with this big basket of fruit and these eyes lit up and they were like, and I was like, go and tell your friends. And they were like, yeah. And so I was crying my eyes out, give it a go. And I have got mouldy bananas in my fruit bowl at home that my kids do not appreciate. And these lovely little kids are so grateful. It was like I was giving them like a pair of trainers out or something. They were so grateful. And like they were with the families on the beach, or not the beach, the Ganges, and the nans are going, I'll have one. No, they all spend time. It's very family orientated. And it was just very humbling. And even though, I mean, it made me, after about 4 days, when I got connected with the people, it did make me feel a bit calmer then. And I didn't eat on the streets because they told us not to eat from the street vendors, but to eat in restaurants. So we ate in the restaurants, went into the jungle to do our yoga teacher training. And on the way into the jungle in the taxi, me and another girl felt really ill. Felt like I had COVID. And it was like every bump on the road going into the jungle. It was like ow, 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 ow. And then I was really missing home. And I actually checked in with it and it was like, I'm missing me home comforts. That's what I was missing. I was missing me nice, clean bed. I was missing the kids. I was missing the hugs. I was missing the dogs. So I was like, I can deal with that. Let me just get to the jungle and settle in and it'll be great. Gets to the jungle, felt like shit. And felt like shit for a week. And I thought it was the Kundalini. I was like, it's the Kundalini, because we were up at 3 o'clock every morning. We were practicing from 3 till 6. Then we were practicing from 9 till 12. And then 2 till 5. It was like 9 hours, like three hour stints. And Kundalini is very much about moving energy, and it does give you a lot of stuff to process. So I was doing that. But then my roommate got rushed to hospital, and she messaged me a few hours later and said, I've got typhoid. I think it's from where we ate on the last night in town, in the town. I was like, I can't have typhoid. It's been a week and I'm not bedridden like you, because I just kept cracking on. Felt awful. And then a few days later, I just hit rock bottom. She comes back from the hospital and then I end up going to the hospital on a moped. I was like, oh my God, on the back of this moped going, what am I doing here? Like this, thinking I'm going to get killed on a moped going to the hospital. And then I guess the hospital and I had typhoid. So, and I paid something like 20 quid and I got seen to straight away. All like loads of people queuing up in the hospital. And I was sitting there getting me blood taken, and I had little kids coming and sitting on my knee, watching me, all fascinated, sitting in the doctors. It was just surreal. And they were like, a couple of hours later, yeah, you've got this typhoid, right? You need to get on these antibiotics. So within days, so much better. And I don't think I actually felt myself until about the last 5 days of being there for a month, when I started to really get into it. So I was too sick to really embrace it.
Would you go back?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you were ill and you want to get the most out of it, or to do another form of yoga, or?
I want to go back, and I would like to go back and do another yoga, not yoga teacher training, because I went there to do the yoga teacher training and I wanted to immerse myself in it. I didn't want to do it over here and do 5 hours every month or whatever. I wanted to do the full thing. So that was that. But I'd like to go and do like a yoga retreat, just for me to go and do like
enjoy it
and relax and do yoga, but then travel across India. Because I got sick, I didn't want to then travel and so I ended up booking a flight earlier to come home. So I was going to go for 5 weeks, but I only did 4 because I thought I don't want to risk getting sick again traveling. And I felt safe in the jungle. And because we'd been in the jungle for the last 3 weeks, we had to do like an integration thing to come back out into society, because you've done so much deep stuff. It was like, you need to get ready to go back into the real world now. And I felt you sort of get institutionalized. So it was like, I felt like a monk. It was like, you get up, you do your practice, you eat, you go and do your practice, you eat, you go and do your practice, you go to bed. We were going to bed at 8 o'clock because we were up at 3. So I started thinking, this is nice.
And was
I've got no one else to
relaxing
think
as well?
about.
Because you've not got like the traffic noise and the hustle and bustle of the town and city centres.
The jungle was beautiful and it was high up. It was in the Himalayas, very magical place. And now that I've come back and I've learned more about yoga philosophy and about India as a country and the Himalayas and the magic of the Himalayas and how it was created, and about the plants there, you can see everything's so abundant. Everything, like there's so much veg, there's so much fruit. Like there was loads of monkeys. The only thing was the monkeys and insects and mosquitoes and all of that. They were quite scary, and the accommodation was dead basic. So we had like cockroaches in the room and in the bed, and like monkeys, but the monkeys, you couldn't smile at the monkeys because they'd attack you. They just said to us, if you see the monkeys, don't smile, because it shows aggression.
Oh, because you're showing your teeth.
Yeah. So you're like, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're like that walking to the room, to the yoga room, and like, because you're outside.
Is it dark? I've taken it at 3 o'clock in the morning.
And they have the same time. The sun sets between 6 and 7 throughout the year. You know, the way we have different times. Yeah. Because of where it is, the sun sets at the same time it never changes like ours does, where the clocks go forward and back. I didn't know that. But yeah, beautiful place. Very, very poor, but it's crazy how, like, if you go to the temples and you see, like, I mean, it's one of the richest countries in the world, but going from one extreme right down to the basics of the other, people haven't got anything and they've still got a little smile on their face. It's just beautiful. So yeah, I hated it at the time, but when I came back, I feel like there's a pull to go back, because I don't think I really got the best out of it because I was sick, but that was obviously meant to be. It is what it is,
maybe
isn't it?
To pull you back, because there's something there for you.
There's definitely something
I think
there.
it's definitely.
So maybe we could do it. We do it together. Get a few of us to go.
Well, I think I might struggle because I now have so many children. Which we'll touch on slightly.
So go on.
Wow. So
where'd you start?
Where do I start? Jeez. So we talked about Blake breaking his leg at the beginning of 2022. I then leave my job. I become freelance, go balls deep into business, loving it, loving life. And I was earning good money. And I went to a yoga class with the lovely Liz Platt, who I know you know as well, local yoga teacher. She's amazing. And at the end of the session, she was talking about the astrology readings that she did. Now, I know we've kind of talked about this. You are massive on human design, which is, for anybody who doesn't know, a little bit like astrology.
It's got astrology as in it.
Yeah, it's a spiritual framework that tells you a bit about yourself, if you believe in that you can live your life by. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's the science of the aura. It's about energy, and it's a combination of the I Ching, the chakra system, astrology, and the Kabbalah and quantum physics. So it's a scientific and spiritual framework.
And I always thought it was absolute bollocks and bullshit, because I didn't understand how I could be born in a hospital at the same time as someone else and we could both just have the same thing. But I have opened my heart and my chakras and whatever to this over the last 18 months. And I have to say, some parts of it are quite comforting and have been very, very nice. And I'm in a online mastermind with 10 other women and we talk about human design. Never thought I would, because I thought
that you do.
I know. And so yeah, if you're interested in that, please follow Claire. What's the best social media handle to follow you for that?
Instagram, we are Space and Freedom by Design, or our website spaceandfreedom.com. Yeah. And you can get your free human design chart there.
So there you go. And then you can learn.
For the plug,
you're
Kit.
welcome. Learn a bit more about yourself. So yeah, I'm there at this is in beginning of December 2022,
Yeah.
I go for an astrology reading
I
with
remember
Liz
that.
Platt, right?
Yeah.
Now, and I'm a bit like, yeah, I'll go and see
Whatever.
what it's about. It was amazing. You know, I'd say 99% of the things she said were bang on. And she said to me, she talked about your North Node and your South Node. Do you know about anything? You're the most spiritual person I know. Of course you bloody do. So I'll try and explain it briefly. Basically, your South Node is what you bring in from your past life that you're always trying to navigate. You always end up pulled back to. So mine is in Capricorn, I think, which is all about
Very good for you knowing that.
wealth and talent and work and, you know, material possessions. And in my chart, in my astrology chart, the only thing I had in Cancer is my North Node. And Cancer is all about maternal, nurturing, mother, feminine energy. But you imagine at this point in my life, my kid's just getting better. I've broken away from a job that I was, you know, completely attached to. I've started my own business. It's very successful. Everything's going great. Work is the focus, you know. And Liz tells me that my North Node is actually to be a mum, very maternal. And I'm like, well, that's
in
not,
your human design as well.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, that's not happening. I've got one kid and my husband had the snip in the summer. So by this point, we're 6 months in to my husband having his, you know, gentleman veg manhandled and chopped, and there are no more swimmers apparently. Although actually we don't know. Have I told you this?
No.
You know, they're supposed to go back and do the what's it's in a pot and go and get it tested. The Queen died, right? So the day that Sean was supposed to do his business in a pot, and they're not allowed to do it on hospital grounds. So he had to do it.
Really?
Yeah, seriously, because it's classed as like a illegal sex act, I think, or something. Yeah, well, you can't just like wank in public places, can you?
No,
and I don't think there was a special room for it. So the instructions were like, right, you've got to do your business in your little pot. Keep it next to your chest at body temperature. Keep it warm and drive to the hospital within 30 minutes to hand it in. So he was due to do this on the day of the Queen's funeral. So it got cancelled.
So has he never been back?
No. So we're still danger poking, Claire. The whole point of getting the vasectomy was pointless.
Was not.
Yeah, well, it ended up being pointless anyway, didn't it?
Yeah.
So going back to Liz, she does this astrology reading. Your North Node's in Cancer, maternal, mother energy, and she said, you know, I know you've got one. I can see more children. Can see more. Can see, and I was like, well, that's not possible because Sean has had the snip. It's not going to happen. 48 hours later, I became a kinship foster carer for my niece, who was 5 years old at the time. And I think that it all happened so quickly.
It did.
And we'll get into the story in the next episode, but it all happened so quickly and so unexpectedly. And then 7 weeks later, her brother, our nephew, who was 12 weeks premature by this point is -5. -5 weeks, 7 weeks old, came to us as well. Very unexpectedly. I didn't know how long they were coming for, didn't know how long they were staying for. And that's now just over 2 years later, and they're staying forever. So yeah, I've now got 3 children, which is another reason why doing this podcast together to kind of bring it back to the beginning is exceptionally difficult, because my children are on a care order. So that means that anybody who any adults that they interact with have to be screened. They've got to be DBS checked. They've got to be screened. They've got to be part of our legal support plan. So it's not easy to get childcare. And my mother-in-law does this with us. God bless Viv. And my husband works shifts. So it's been really, really hard to try and juggle everything and to go from 1 kid to 3 overnight. And one in particular, you know, the one who's 5, she was 5 at the time. She's 7 now. The process has been through a lot. You know, she's been through a lot in a short life anyway, but I'd argue that the process of no longer being with her mum and dad is the hardest thing she's ever been through, and having to help a young person navigate that has been the most difficult thing I've ever been through in my life. I thought Blake's accident was the most stress I'd ever been through. And then this situation has been crazy and complicated and complex. And I can genuinely, hand on my heart, say that in the last couple of months, things have started to slot into place and things feel calm and lovely and nice. And I didn't think I'd get to that point. I really didn't. And
you don't when you're in the thick of it, though,
yeah,
do you?
I think that's what's so hard about stress. You know, when you're in it, it's so hard to either accept help to be pulled out of it or realise yourself that you need to be pulled out of it. But it's been a great journey in helping someone else heal and healing myself at the same time. And this time last year, I didn't think it would be happening. I was ready to throw the towel in. I didn't think I could do this anymore. And I discovered something called non-violent resistance, a way of parenting. And I'm going to do an episode on that because parenting.
That will be so helpful for anyone else.
Well, there's a part of me that's like a bit, I don't want anybody to listen to that and think that their way of parenting is wrong, because my way of parenting isn't right. It's just a different way of looking at it. And it's changed our lives, but it's changed her life more than anything. And that's what I'm so proud of. And so if it helps just even one person think a little bit differently about parenting and makes it feel a little bit easier, then it's worth potentially triggering others, because it's personal. It's really personal parenting, and it's just the hardest job we've ever done. And our generation are the first who've done it, I think, so lonely and isolated.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's hard being a parent.
Very.
You don't get a manual, do you?
No.
You just do what you learn from your parents. And like Jules made a good point a while ago, saying like, her mum and dad were born in the 1940s. They being parented from someone in the 1940s to someone who's parenting now is completely different. But Jules learned from her parents, and obviously with awareness and with the work that we all do, and obviously we've got access to so many personal development books now, we can be more open-minded to learn and maybe be more open with the kids and to be more patient and to have conversations instead of the adult always being right. It's like, you do as I say.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, these little beings, they are here to give us lessons, and they've chosen us to be parents, some would say, to guide them. And it is hard and it's challenging. But all we need to do is give them love and guidance and have those relationships. So I think when you explain the non-violent relationship,
it's called non-violent resistance.
Non-violent resistance, NVR.
Yeah, they've just changed the name of it actually to New Vision for Relationships.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't sound. Yeah, that's it. So NVR. When you explain the concept to me, I was like, that sounds really nice.
Yeah,
that sounds really good, like wholesome talks, and you're doing it from a place of without emotion, but you're talking about emotions, and you're getting the kids to express themselves rather than just us as adults saying, no, you're not doing that, because they're going, well, why can't I do that? I
still do say that 70% of the time, though. I should point that out. It's very, very hard to undo
like
that.
I left home last year in June, slammed the door, do you know what I mean? So it's still, we're still humans, aren't we? But to have like some type of framework again to help you with it, and then if you can help share that with people, I think that's a great thing.
Well, I think that nicely rounds off this first episode back. Thank you for helping me. I think I'm going to get you to stay for the next one, though, if that's okay, to kind of explain the story of becoming a kinship foster carer. Yeah,
I'd like to interview you on that.
That'd be nice. And so if people want to find more about you, it's spaceandfreedom.com. I am gemmaray.com, and you can grab my book, Stop Procrastinating and Start Living, on Amazon.
Love it. Thank you for that. It was a pleasure.